Hey there, lovely. If you're a driven and highly ambitious woman who has checked all the boxes, followed all the rules, only to realize you don't actually feel fulfilled or you don't feel like you're living your purpose, then you are absolutely in the right place. My name is Melissa Chavis. I'm an intuitive mindset coach, and I am absolutely obsessed with helping you discover your true purpose, that thing you were put here on this earth to do, so that you can live the most fulfilling and abundant life possible. Hey there, beautiful. Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. And thank you so much for joining me here for another episode today. This is my 34th episode of the podcast, which is just crazy to me to think that I've already done 33 episodes. And if you haven't listened to the other 33 episodes, I highly recommend to go through and listen to those as well because I cover so much information in each episode. And I truly believe that if you go through and you take in that information and actually use it and take action, you can create so much change in your life just from listening to those episodes. But today, I want to talk about something that I think probably resonates for most of us who are searching for something more in our lives. I know for me, this definitely resonates, and I totally feel this. And I have talked to countless women who have essentially told me they ask themselves this question on a daily basis. So I want to ask you, have you ever looked around at your life and thought, is this really it? Like you've done everything that you were supposed to do in life. You got the degree, you built the career, maybe even got married and had the kids. But instead of feeling fulfilled, you just feel kind of disappointed because you thought it would feel different. So if this sounds like you, stick around because I actually have an amazing resource that I want to tell you about later that will help you start to really create a life that actually feels as good as it looks. So, as I mentioned, this question totally resonates for me because just 5 years ago, I was that woman constantly asking, like, is this all there is? Is this it? I had done all the things that I was supposed to do. And yet life just felt somehow kind of empty. And of course, I had my husband, I had my kids, but I was spending the majority of my waking hours focusing on a job that honestly, I just didn't care that much about. I was spending most of my time and most of my energy focusing on the things that weren't the most important things in my life. And even when I had time around my kids and my family, I was rushing through things, trying to make sure I got all the stuff done that needed to get done to keep running a household, right? I truly felt like I was just giving all my energy away to the parts of my life that I didn't really care about all that much, the parts that weren't the most important thing. Meanwhile, I had nothing left for the things that actually meant something to me, my family, my kids, and my husband. I was drained by the end of the day. And so trying to focus and be present with them in the couple hours that I had with them each evening, it felt almost impossible. And I would get into this cycle of beating myself up over it, right? So it just made things even worse. But when it came down to it, when I tried to imagine a different life for myself, I realized that I actually I had no idea what I really wanted to be doing with my time. I had no idea what I could do in my life that would actually make me feel excited or that would make me feel lit up, make me feel fulfilled, make me feel like my life had some sort of purpose and meaning behind it. So I think it's all because we are so conditioned to override ourselves from such a young age that the deep knowing that is actually within all of us, we don't even feel it or see it anymore by the time we get to adulthood. And by the time that we realize we're living this life that feels like it's meant for somebody else, we have no idea how to get back to what we truly want and what we truly desire out of this life. If you're anything like me, you're probably into those like home improvement shows, pretty much anything HGTV. And so I think it's so much like one of those episodes where the hosts walk these people into this old, outdated house, and all they can see are these old finishes and the bad layout and the walls that are closing everything in, right? They walk the couple in and the couple's like, "Ooh, I don't like this house. Like I don't know why you brought me here, but this isn't it." And I think that that is where so many of us start when we get to this place where we realize that we've outgrown this life that we are living. We are still at this point where all we can see are the outdated finishes and all the walls that we don't think should be there. We can't envision what this life could actually look like if we changed a few things around, right? I think what I hear from a lot of women is things like, I can't leave this job. It's too risky. I should just be grateful for what I do have in life. Or I don't even know what I would do instead of this. Like, I know I need to do something, but I don't even know what that would be. And deep down, I can tell that they're holding on to beliefs like hustle equals success or stability and a typical 9 to 5 equals safety or self-sacrifice is just what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just the right thing to do. But here's the thing. Just like this old, outdated house, your life isn't actually stuck like this. The foundation is still solid. Literally, you have everything that you need within you to create a life that you love. You just need to do a little bit of renovation. You just need to tear down some walls and update the finishes, right? Just like that old dilapidated house, it can be renovated and it can turn into something beautiful, something that is the perfect fit for you. So if you're feeling stuck and you're feeling like you're in this life that just doesn't feel right, and you are wondering like, is this really it? Is this all there is for me in this life? I have kind of 3 steps to get you started on really seeing the potential that is there and starting to kind of do some of those renovations and maybe tear down some of those walls or update some of those finishes that will get that momentum going for you so that you actually can redefine what success means to you and then create a life that you actually do love. Step one is truly just starting with awareness. Before you can renovate that house, you have to get a sense for the current layout and see what is not working for you right now. You can do this by starting to notice where you're feeling some resistance or frustration or those times when you tend to kind of numb out or avoid the situation. And if you have been around here for any period of time, you know, I'm going to recommend starting with some journaling. You can start with asking yourself questions like, if I could have a fresh start, if I truly could create whatever life I wanted, what would that look like? What would I be doing? Who would I be with? How would I feel in these situations? So just starting to ask yourself the questions. And you may not feel like you have the answers right now, but just start writing down whatever comes to you. Step two is to challenge some of those mental blocks. Start getting curious about what things could look like if you took down some of those walls in that old, dilapidated house. When you notice yourself resisting something or coming up with excuses to try and stay in the same place, I want you to ask yourself, is this actually true? Is this belief that I'm holding on to right now, is it actually true for me? Or is it just something that I've always believed, that's always been there in my brain that comes up for me in these situations automatically? An example of this would be something like, I have to stay in a typical 9 to 5 job because that is what is stable. That is where stability comes from. So you start asking yourself, like, is this really true? Or is there maybe another way that I could create that security in my life that I'm looking for? And then step three is to start replacing some of those beliefs. And to go back to the renovation analogy, this is updating some of those outdated finishes. The key to creating a new reality for yourself is to build beliefs that support that reality. So instead of success means hustling and grinding and working hard, you could believe that success comes from alignment, from feeling good in the life that you're living. Instead of security equals staying put in a traditional job, you could instead start to believe that security comes from trusting myself and knowing what feels right for me in this life. And to be super clear, as on most of those home renovation shows, you don't need to come in and bulldoze the whole place on day one. Very, very rarely do I ever see them come in and just like take down the whole structure, right? You don't need to just come through and wipe it all out and go turn in your resignation letter today and say, that's it, I'm doing something different in my life. It doesn't need to be drastic like that. You just need to start making small intentional shifts, removing what no longer serves you and building a life that actually fits for you. If today's episode hit home, or if you're sitting here thinking, okay, that's a great start, but how do I actually really start taking these actions and moving my life in the right direction and really holding myself accountable to creating this different life for myself? Then I have something that I have created just for you. I have a free training that will show you how to start creating a life that feels as good as it looks. This training pulls back the curtain and walks you through the 4 things that you need to focus on if you really want to redefine success for yourself and create a life that actually lights you up. And you can get instant access to that training just by clicking on the link below here in the description. And it's a super quick training, but it literally goes through all of the pieces that you need to focus on if you want to redefine success for yourself and create a life where you feel good, where you feel fulfilled, where you feel lit up, and you have the thought of this is how I get to spend my days versus this is really all there is for me. So I highly encourage you to check out that training if you're ready to really start taking action toward creating something better for yourself. And just as a reminder, you absolutely are not stuck where you are. This doesn't have to be your reality for the rest of your life. It truly doesn't. Change is possible. And right now, you're just living inside of a life that was built on old decisions and old beliefs that you've held for probably most of your life, but you can create something better, something that truly feels good and is aligned for you. So until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week. That's it for another episode of the Authentic Awakening podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you found it helpful, I'd love to hear from you. You can do that by liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel or rating and reviewing the podcast wherever you're listening.